Hello everybody, Mahojo here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about future policies that could be a practical way to sort of reduce consumerism and reduce decommodification of certain markets. This would be an important transition into socialism. Now, socialism by definition is workers' control of the means of production, and nothing else particularly has to take place for that to happen. All you need for workers' control of the means of production is workers' control of the means of production. This could even be done non-legislatively. You do not actually need to pass a single bill, a single law for socialism to take place. In the late 70s, if you want to do a bit of research, the UK was almost a socialist country. This was just sheerly through very, very strong union control. If you want to get personal with it, my granddad was in fact a union man in the Shell company who their union enjoyed a very strong degree of control over the Shell company. Now, no policy aside from workers' control of the means of production necessarily means socialism. Even though you will have a lot of things linked to socialism, you have a lot of things fairly or unfairly linked. But nothing actually means it except what it means. However, I will be outlining some sort of left-wing and I guess socialist adjacent policies which would really help reduce the influence and the harmful effect of capitalism on our society. The biggest one for me, is the commodification of the housing market. Now, housing, very, very important thing, believe it or not. People need houses. Now, you may have been sort of pushed into believing a certain aspect that the reason, or one of the major reasons, that housing prices are so scandalous is because of middle-class people buying up second houses, second homes, holiday homes. That's not really what it is. The thing is, under capitalism, housing is an investment. It's an abstract investment. So things like pension funds, hedge funds, very rich individuals, very rich companies, banks, they need to store their wealth somewhere. Some of that wealth is going to be very liquid, like in the stock market, or even in cash. But if you want a very solid, non-liquid way of containing your money, property is a very good route to do that. Now that obviously means that homes, the very, very important thing people need, believe it or not, people need homes to live in. That means that homes themselves become a massively inflated commodity. Obviously that's wrong. Hopefully that's pretty self-evident to anybody watching this. So how do you tackle this? Well, at least in the UK, at least from an English perspective, the government already has the legal authority to place several controls on banks, several regulations. One of these many regulations, especially since the 2008 financial crisis, is controlling what percentage of different banks' portfolios are stored in different types of investment. One of these being property. Now, I'm sure it's very complicated, but from what I've seen, a lot of banks, it's around 30%, 40%, a large minority of banks' portfolios, their current investment portfolios, are in property, whether that be residential or commercial. Now, obviously what that means is that property prices are always going to be inflated upwards, regardless of natural supply and demand, regardless of the natural organic markets of supply and demand, of whether people want to live there. That's going to be twisted and warped and inflated by the fact that it's an investment, that it's commodified. But what you might not know is that it is already within the government's control without passing a bill. Without passing a single bill, it is already within the remit of government control to set what percentages banks' portfolios are allowed to be in different investments, different types of investments, especially after the 2008 financial crisis, when basically banks and other funds gambling on property in a very abstract and very risky way caused a lot of trouble for regular people, and of course a lot of the banks were bailed out. The government can already say, if they wanted to, but they don't want to, but if they wanted to, they could already say, without passing any new laws, okay, banks, from 25%, let's say 25% of a certain bank's investments are allowed to be in residential property. They could say, okay, instead of 25%, 22.5%. Crazy, I know, crazy. But that would mean that in, say, a year, those banks are compelled to sell 2.5% of their total portfolio. Or maybe 0.5% of the property market. Well, no, because banks only own a certain surprisingly small percent. So some figure, some tenth of a percentage, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3% of the property market in a year would be compelled to be up for sale. And then, of course, that would cheapen and it would transfer to property owners, to individuals, to people who actually just want to own a house. It's not an investment for them, it's just their house. This transfer could even be facilitated by using interest-free loans from the government. So, if you're not aware of how cash gets minted, these days, cash doesn't generally come from the mint. If you're in the UK, cash tends not to come from the Royal Mint. The large majority of new money that gets introduced to the system gets introduced via debt from banks. Again, this is all under the permission of the government. This is all under the remit of the government. But the government can say, at any point, you've got to decrease this amount of new money that you make through debt by 20%, 10%, 5%. And they could increase the amount of new money that gets actually minted by the government directly at the Royal Mint whenever they want. So the government could, either through negotiating with the banks or just through direct control, say, okay, there's a little bit of an extra supply of houses in the market right now. We're going to give £8,000 loans, £8,000. There will be a lot of people out there, whether that's individuals, couples, families, tens of thousands at least, maybe hundreds of thousands, who, if they had an £8,000, some, to put into a mortgage deposit, if they had £8,000, which is a loan, but it's interest free, that if they had that liquidity afforded to them, they could put down a payment for that house. That could be sold to them. And the demand would stay stable. That's only something you need to do if it arises. But you see, the reason that house prices are absolutely fraudulent is because they are commodified as an investment, and the government at any time can choose to what extent they are an investment and to what extent they aren't. So one gigantic factor of making the economy better for everyone, more fair, more comfortable, more reasonable, more sane, would be a gradual, moderate decommodification of the housing market. That's just one thing, just one little thing that I want to talk about. Because people have been commenting on my last video Just some very stupid things. I asked them to watch, I asked them to listen, and not just reply the same bumper sticker things, the same Facebook meme politics that they've seen. But people have been obviously replying with the same Facebook memes. So I'm going to reply to those people. But I also just want to give a little bit of a policy. This is rather left wing. That's obvious, just obviously, hands down, instantly would provide relief to many, many, many people, and brings control away from the capitalist class or the bourgeoisie, and brings it into the control of the proletariat or the working class. So hopefully that's been a bit useful to any of you out there. Hopefully you haters, you people commenting on my last video, have seen this one. I'm going to keep arguing with you. Listen, socialism's here for you. It's the best for everyone. I know you've been propagandized against it, but it's here for everyone. Even if you don't want it, even if you don't like it, lad, I'll convince you. Come at me, I'll convince you. You think I can't convince you with your bumper stickers? Lad, I've got way more than bumper stickers to come at you with. Come at me, lad. Fucking comment. Do it. Comment something stupid. I fucking dare you. Comment something stupid. I'll fucking come at you with that intellectualism. I got way more than bumper stickers. So hopefully you'll join the cause. Alright. Thank you for watching this video, if you managed to get through it. Bye bye. Try and have a good day. See ya.